What is the difference and how to distinguish between your net worth and your self-worth? And your self-worth and your net worth. Hi, I'm Dr. Lisa and welcome to my channel. I'm happy to have you back again for our money series. Today, how do you distinguish between your net worth and your self-worth, or your self-worth and your net worth? Well, that's a big one, because in a certain way, when you make money and you have money in your account and you get your investments and retirement and insurance and your car and your house and, oh my God, electricity and cable and Netflix and blah, 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 blah. Now all the streaming programs, especially in today's date, 2022, you feel good about it, right? Because you can pay it and you have these luxuries, right? And probably and likely you have more now than you've had before. Generally we get a little better, or a lot better, or we take huge leaps, decade after decade after decade. Inshallah, we hope, right? But there's a way that when it goes up and when it goes down, your finances I'm talking about, or when you can and when you can't, that something happens to you. And what happens is you feel bad about you. You judge yourself as a fraud. You get a little angry with yourself and maybe a little anxious and a little cranky and irritable and restless and discontented when things start to drop, or even if you're a millionaire, and you lose let's say you lose $1 million, or your revenue was $1 million less, that's $1 million. That's gonna hurt a little, even if it's $100 sometimes, if you're more like paycheck to paycheck. And it could take a toll on your self-worth. So let me give you some examples of that. There was a time in my life where I literally couldn't put gas in my car. And, I had nowhere to turn to. And I remember standing in that gas station wondering, what the hell am I going to do? And who am I going to call? Eventually it worked out. It wasn't pretty, but I found some quarters, can put enough in to get home, that sort of thing. But that was a moment where I was like, whoa. I felt there, I can even feel it now, standing in the parking lot like, I don't know who to call. I don't have anybody to call. I don't know who to talk to. How am I going to fill up this car and how am I going to get home? How am I going to get to work? Blah, 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 blah. I felt ashamed. I felt embarrassed. I felt like, gosh, I have all this education. I have all this training. My parents raised me better than this. How did I let myself get here? So that's where the money, now granted, you might say, oh, well, you don't have any money. You have a right to feel that way. Yes, of course I have a right to feel that way. But when the right to feel that way transcends to that's who you are, that's when your net worth, whatever you have or don't have, has now become your self-worth. And then there's no distinguishing between one or the other. So if you have money, you're great. And if you don't have money, you suck. And it's just like, it's like the polarity, good and bad, right and wrong. There's not the middle ground, like the shade of gray. And that could be a problem, because you can really become that persona and really then screw yourself out of financial prosperity by thinking you're less than you are because you have or don't have money. You are deserving of good, all good, not some, not a little, but all, no matter what. No matter what your bank account says, no matter what car you drive, no matter what clothes you have on, no matter if they're designer or brand or not. Okay, that's just the truth, but most of us don't believe that. We believe the society and media and the movies and everything, what you have and the brand names you have are what distinguishes how good you are. It's not true, because there are some people that are really nasty and have a lot of money. And there are some people that are really, really kind and beautiful and don't have a lot of money. And there are really kind people that have a lot of money. And there are really unkind people that don't have a lot of money. That's when it becomes confusing in our society about money. And I think we've given the wrong messages to a lot of different people. Granted, I know when I have money, when you have money, and when you have more than enough money to last a month or two or 6 or a year or whatever, there you have more choice available. You do feel better. You do feel more empowered. You feel smarter. You feel brilliant. However, you are that anyway, with or without money. You are brilliant with or without money. You don't need money to make yourself brilliant. You are amazing with or without money. You don't need money to be amazing. You are a gift just by your natural presence on this earth. And yes, affording and allowing income, cash currency in all of its form, is a luxury, is a choice, is an allowance, and is a love of yourself. But if you're struggling right now, it doesn't mean you're less as a person. You will feel that way. It will suck, and that's true. It will change, and that's true. This too shall pass. Don't put the two of them together. They are distinct. What you make is wonderful. And how can you outcreate that? And how can you outcreate that? And how can you make more? And what else can you be? And what else can you do? Yes. What you are is a gift. And it doesn't matter about the money. What mostly matters is how good are you being to yourself, to this planet, and to the people around you? Do you recognize that you're a gift? Do you recognize that you're a contribution? When's the last time you just bought somebody a cup of coffee because you could? Or reached out to somebody just because you want to? Those are all profitable ways of being. And they also increase your self-worth and make you a more viable investment. Continue the conversation by commenting in the chat. Like this page, share it with somebody, this channel. I'd really appreciate that. And get notified when I go live or when a new video drops by clicking on the bell. Now go be great.